What's up, everybody? Welcome to Talking Shit, episode 100.
We're here.
We're here.
This
Some
is
of
it.
us are queer. Get used to it. My name is Barrett Courtney. I'm one of your hosts, and here joined with me are my two great co-hosts and even better friends, the bisexist from Texas, Henry Montiero.
Merc Crimble.
And over here, my favorite chunky punk, Ricky Baldazan.
Mastodon.
How we doing today, guys? You're just out of it. You're super tired. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can see the desperation of in your eyes. Just like, I need sleep.
Existence is pain.
Ricky, how you doing?
I'm tired.
Yeah, you're in Berkeley for like the next month.
Next 2 months. Or
2 months. Jesus
one and a
Christ.
half.
Fuck that. So you had to
yeah.
commute with Bart to get over here.
Yeah.
How was that? How's the Bart trip?
It was crowded as shit. I like the bike ride I did right before it though. I biked to Ashby Station.
Okay.
And they have like a bike cage that you can just leave it in.
Yeah, I was
there.
wondering where your bike was. Like when I saw you, I was like, I
Like, I
didn't
can't-
ask. I was like, did he like shove it up his ass? Where'd it go?
Like outside, I was like, yeah, no, I biked.
Nothing around.
I am a bike.
Transform.
Yeah. Autobots roll out. Ching ching.
Autobots. Roll that joint.
But yeah, good morning, I guess.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I stayed up pretty late last night getting a bunch of work done. We did a lot of E3 coverage. In like, I would say like 26 hours. We did 5 videos. Edited and put up all in like that like sort of 26-hour period, and it was exhausting. It was really fun. There are points where we definitely fell asleep, and if you want to see those videos, it's the first playlist on our main YouTube page, youtube.com/BayZonaGamers. It's the first playlist shown on our main page, and
If
it's
you
all
want
of our
videos
reaction videos.
of us sleeping.
Go to pornhub.com/BayZonaGamers.
Or are we on that now?
yeah. It's our
Branching out.
there's a king for just watching people sleep, and that's what we're exploiting now is just sleeping videos. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is Talking Shit. It's BZG's weekly podcast where the three of us bring in random topics of discussion and we talk some shit about those topics. If you like that, head on over to patreon.com/BZG. Give us $1 a month and you get every full audio version of the episodes before they roll out topic by topic Monday through Thursday on YouTube, and before the full audio versions go out for everybody on SoundCloud and iTunes if you have our RSS feed. So there you go. And you also get an exclusive month.
You get an exclusive month of hugs.
You get an exclusive episode every month, which we will probably record right after this episode, which will be fun. Yeah. Guys, how you feeling? Do you know what's about to come?
I'm on the 7th moon.
Me.
So the first topic, I'm bringing in all the topics today because it's episode 100. Wanted some specific topics, and I'm changing it up. I thought I had a specific order of how I wanted to do things, but this topic, since it's going to go out on Monday, and since it's going to be the closest topic to E3, the first topic I want to talk about is
Power Rangers.
Who won E3 and our sort of general thoughts about E3. You know, we had our specific reaction videos for every specific conference, but I want to sort of talk about it as a whole and maybe talk about our personal game of the shows.
I think it was Ubisoft.
Not just Ubisoft, but that dance number specifically. That
The
group
giraffe.
he did all the work.
And so, like your general thoughts, who you think won E3, and your game of the show, and we also have some viewer questions. So we'll get to that when we get there. So, general thoughts.
Games is the same.
Games is the same. I mean, I love me my Bethesda, but I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah.
And whose fault is that?
Mine for working.
Yeah.
Him
What
for
you gonna do
making
with
that sweet dough, son?
What you
That
gonna do
ain't
with that
making,
money?
son?
What you gonna do with that money if you didn't get to see Elder Scrolls Skyrim HD in person?
He's gonna buy it.
Yeah, all I needed to do was hear about it. Anyway, I think Sony took it. To be honest, I mean, they did it the classiest. No bullshit, no fillers, really.
Okay.
They came in with the material that they knew that was gonna win it, and they did that. They had the strongest reveals, the craziest reveals, all consecutively.
You
Okay.
had whatever the hell that was.
Yeah,
Are we talking about Kojima's game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that
Uh,
was.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that was.
it had the most confusing thing, which was that still riding on the hype that he came out and was just like, "I'm back,"
Yeah.
you know. Crash Bandicoot, for God's sake,
Yeah.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sony won it by a fucking landslide, even though I do think Microsoft did bring in really big guns
How great
with that
would it have been?
system reveal.
Imagine if like they announced Crash Bandicoot and you just heard someone in the crowd go, "What about Spyro?"
They talked about Skylanders for like 20 seconds. That's
Yeah.
the closest you're going to get.
Spyro hasn't been in a Skylanders commercial in years.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was telling you in our Sony Reacts video, like that was the whole poll originally for Skylanders, was that it was sort of a Spyro game, and then he's just not really
Fucking Rover's
showcased.
in it more than him.
Richard Horowitz is in it more.
Henry, how about you? What are your main thoughts on E3 as a whole this year?
I don't even remember anything from the Microsoft conference.
Really?
I
at
remember
all?
We Happy Few.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Oh right. We haven't really.
Yeah, they talked about Gears 4 and
talked about Gears 4. That
the Xbox One S, the Xbox Project Scorpio. They showed Scalebound, Dead Rising 4 Christmas Edition,
Halo Wars
Sea of
2.
Thieves, Halo Wars 2, Final Fantasy 15, Tekken 7, Recore.
And a large egg. Look at it.
you say Cuphead too.
Cuphead a little bit, but that
Yeah.
was really more of like a slideshow of like
Yeah.
fucking here's some games that
And
might come out.
All that was in that little part of Cuphead in the slideshow was all the boss battles. Still,
And here's what's coming.
Yeah, I'm really
to
worried.
downloadable.
I'm really worried about Cuphead now. Just based off the platforming stuff, it seems very. It doesn't seem well thought out for a game that just looks so beautiful, and the gameplay itself looks really fun, and difficult to, or not difficult, but like challenging to an extent, right? And it just seems like the little bit that they showed, and I was hoping they were going to show more at Xbox's press conference, was maybe some, because I feel like the sort of platforming level that we saw is like one of the first couple of levels or whatnot, you know. And so I'm hoping that maybe the further you get throughout the game, there's a little more thought put into like where enemies are, maybe a little more variety in how you traverse the levels and whatnot. It just seemed like very clean cut, like just go and shoot and jump every once in a while. And it seemed really, really basic, so I'm a little worried about that game now. Especially that we still have no release date on it. I think for my thoughts, I don't think it's as clear who won, being a couple of days removed from it and thinking about it. My main problem with Sony's conference is the fact that we got a total of one release date, and that was for The Last Guardian, or two release dates, I would say. The Horizon, which wasn't like announced at their press conference. It was more of like, yeah, you guys already knew it was delayed. You knew it was kind of coming in February, whatever. But like, as far as announcements goes for release dates, the only thing we got was The Last Guardian. God of War, we got nothing.
Days Gone, we got nothing.
Oh, Resident Evil 7, I guess, is also coming in January. But also, Days Gone, we have nothing. Detroit, we have nothing.
Rock City.
Crash Bandicoot, we have nothing. Spider-Man, we have nothing. Death Stranding, we have nothing. And so
Death Stranding, we have everything.
So I feel like there's just going to be, I think in the presentation of that conference, I think it's unparalleled of like how they did it. I just think it feels a little like watching it over again. I had definitely like there was like still excitement of like when he talked about Crash and like when he talked about Spider-Man and all of this stuff. I was just still like, holy shit, we're getting these, but it was still like But immediately right after those thoughts came like, when are we going to see this shit? You know, it feels a lot like last year where, you know, Final Fantasy VII was probably the biggest announcement last year. And now it's sort of a joke of like, we're never going to see this game.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. That was a big omission from for this year was Final Fantasy VII, like whatsoever. And, you know, that's probably like good. Like, don't talk about the game until you're ready about it. But it's very concerning of like, okay, you announced this last year and we've heard almost nothing about it except for the fact that the game's coming in 3 fucking parts. So I'm very worried about Final Fantasy VII. And so I'm scared when we come to E3 next year of, am I going to be worried about any of these games? Am I going to be worried about most of these games? So that's like, I think the longevity of like the quality of like announcements that they had is a little concerning of like how they're going to treat it. My hope is that this is a teaser. This was almost like a trailer for PSX. My hope is they announce fucking a shit ton of dates at PSX. That would be fucking perfect. Like PSX would almost be a part 2 to this conference. Like that would be really, really cool. So that's what I'm hoping for. But I don't know. I really don't know when we're going to get updates on Detroit. I don't know when we're going to get updates on Days Gone. Like it's a fucking miracle that Bend was even there. Spider-Man looks well in development, but it's hard to see like how far in development they are. It's like Insomniac's like A team, so they haven't done anything since what was that Xbox One exclusive?
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive, if I'm correct in thinking that. Like they didn't work on Ratchet and Clank or anything, or if they did, it was
Ratchet and Clatchet.
So that's sort of my thoughts, and why I think it's not as clean cut of like who won E3 is because a lot of what Xbox talked about and announced was like, it is coming. It is coming. There are like dates and all this stuff. Like the one thing I feel like that didn't really get a date was We Happy Few, which it's debatable on whether or not that's an Xbox exclusive. Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 and also Project Scorpio. Like there's a lot of talk about, you know, Dead Rising 4 coming this December, Forza Horizon 3 coming this fall, ReCore coming in a couple months. These like Minecraft VR and like all these Minecraft updates, and Xbox One S coming out in a few months, and Gears 4 is coming out this fall. So I think Xbox definitely nailed it of like, these are the things that are definitely coming soon. Let's talk about them, and let's talk about them in a confident way. And I think they really nailed it on the hardware front. The Xbox One S definitely looks like a huge improvement on the console. And I
can't even put VHSs in it anymore.
And I'm excited like, I'm glad they teased Project Scorpio, you know? I'm glad that they didn't like, they definitely marketed it well, where the point where, you know, sort of like the main points of it of like 4K gaming and high fidelity, and it'll be VR compatible, especially like with Fallout 4, and it's going to come out in holiday 2017, and there's
Such
like
a
6
Scorpio.
there's 6 fucking thingamajigs.
6 Elder Rings that you
I don't
must
fucking
find.
know. I don't know. Like when it comes to hardware shit, like I'm definitely like, that's not my forte. So, and like the most important thing that they talked about with all 3 of these consoles is like most hardware. Like I'm guessing like the hardware when it comes to game discs and controllers, all compatible with all 3 consoles. And I think that was like the most important thing. So I honestly think that Xbox and Sony, when it comes to overall quality, had the same amount of quality, but for very different reasons.
No, like the complete opposite reasons, because Microsoft, like you said, hit the note on dates, but the material itself wasn't as exciting as the Sony material, whereas Sony brought in great trailers,
Really, like,
great
really
presentation,
exciting
but gave no date.
And when it comes to like the third parties, Ubisoft's, I want to give a shout out because you know what? They announced a lot of really, really fun stuff. It was
And
they
Steam.
took their fucking time with it. Like they just, It was just 2 hours. It was 2 hours, and it was like an hour and 40 minutes too long almost, or an hour and 20 minutes long almost. It was like they literally could have just talked about Wildlands, South Park: Stick of Truth, For Honor, Steep, and Watch Dogs 2, and it would have been like fucking great. It would have been like way faster, way more well done.
Way too fucking long.
I mean, like they spent way too much time with VR, with the fucking Star Trek stuff, and like
dancing
Eagle
number.
Flight was like a way like that was an entire match, and it was like we could have watched like 3 minutes of it and it would have been fine. And then like I don't know, the dance number was like whatever. It's Ubisoft really trying to be like, hey, we're different, but they're not. In a way,
You're my parents.
We have a comedian.
Yeah, it's and like a lot of people like to give a lot of the video game community loves to give praise to Aisha Tyler, and I do like her, but I think a lot of the stuff written for her was awful. And I don't think like there was like some like improv stuff that she did where she was like, oh hey, they brought back when those two like crazy dudes in like the fucking jumpsuits or whatever came out. And they're like, yo, I worked on Trials, and yo, I worked on Blood Dragon, and here's our thing together. Like, she was...
the red jumpsuit apparatus?
Yeah, but what's the crazy band, the dude with the afro, and...
There's a lot of bands with afros, my man.
Dude, the two guys that did fucking electro pop.
LMFAO.
LMFAO. She's like, I can't believe they got LMFAO back together. Didn't know that they were white. Like, there are little things like that where she, like... that obviously weren't written. That was like, okay, like she herself is funny. A lot of the stuff that was scripted for her was like really, really bad. And it sounded a lot like you were saying. It was like your parents trying to sound really cool.
That's the thing with the Ubisoft conference. It's like it wasn't the material that I didn't like.
It was how they did it.
And it wasn't her or anything like that. It was just them writing it. And just how it totally seemed like just fucking people
like,
who don't know what they're talking about.
They were
coming
desperate
to a
into like
convention about it.
they're also desperate into saying like, hey, we're really into video games and crazy shit. And it's just like
they make it
the
seem
more
like
you
they're
talk
not.
about it, the more you talk about
Yeah.
it, the less likely I am. The more likely I am to believe that you're a fake ass bitch.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
exactly how
like,
I felt with it.
If you just show your shit and like let people perceive it as crazy and out there and not tell people that it's crazy and out there, then like I don't know. It was just like Ubisoft has always sort of rubbed me the wrong way when it comes to conferences.
That whole conference seemed like just a bunch of smoke and mirrors and bullshit. I mean, like they present
But
themselves.
it wasn't though.
I know it wasn't, but
the
I'm
way
saying,
they
like,
did it, yeah, I understand.
it just makes it. They put themselves out there like they're the most corporate motherfuckers ever, and they're not.
I mean, I wouldn't call them the most corporate motherfuckers,
No, I mean, I
but
know,
they
but I'm
are
saying,
very like they
The way
they are
present
very much
themselves.
like other gaming publishers out there, but they tried so hard to make it seem like they aren't.
Yeah, it's just the way they present themselves.
And then EA, absolutely nothing was announced. Absolutely, the only thing announced was Fe. Fe.
Fick.
No, Fe. Fe.
Fe.
It's like the fucking periodic table symbol for iron.
We are proud to announce Iron.
That was
Face
literally
sucks.
That was literally the only thing that like they announced. Like they talked about Star Wars of like, hey, these developers are working on games. We fucking knew that already. They talked about Madden. Oh shit, a Madden game's coming out this year. What a fucking surprise!
Doesn't even bring out Hoop God.
They talked about FIFA. Oh shit, a FIFA game's coming out. Who fucking knew? They talked about Titanfall. They talked about fucking Mass Effect for like 2 minutes, and then it was like the beginning of the conference was like they were trying to emphasize like this is a brand new show, and it was like nothing. It was absolutely nothing. So I think EA, if we ranked them, EA is definitely at the fucking bottom of like, wow, holy shit, this was bad.
Yeah.
And then
Wasn't even E3.
Bethesda, I would say would be probably a close second for me. Tie and like the first Microsoft and Sony being tied. Just because of like what they had to announce. Some of it wasn't geared towards us. Like the Quake Champions thing was like sort of a disappointing.
Stop that shit already.
It was like
even
sort of
have
like a
PC.
disappointing revival of that series. It's like PC exclusive, and it seems like a very like
Trent Reznor's not even there.
arena based team shooter thing, and it just seems like wow, this could have been really, really exciting, but it wasn't. Like, it was exciting for a second of like, oh shit, it's Quake. But then everything they said about it was like, oh wow, that woo, yeah.
It's an arena shooter on PC only.
And then the Fallout DLC that they teased was really cool. We're getting some of that soon. I'm excited to hear more about Nuka World, and then Skyrim HD, probably I would say one of the biggest announcements at E3 this year. October 28th, coming soon. And then they showed a lot of Dishonored 2. They announced Prey. And that was really it. Like, the only big announcements I would say was Quake, Skyrim, and Prey. Like, Fallout DLC, I guess, counts a little bit. But that was really it. It was, like, those big three things. And so I would say, like, Bethesda, I think, showcased it a little more, like, a little better, I would say. Just of, like, you know, they didn't have a shit ton of things to say. They didn't have nothing to say. They had, like, a good amount, and they knew just, like, how to present it. They knew how to do the pacing well and stuff, so.
Yeah.
And so the next question I have for you guys is, what is your game of the show? What was the game that definitely, of course, we can't, like, do hands-on shit because E3, you know, when I asked E3 if we could go to E3, they're like, fuck you. So, you know, like, our just sort of impressions from trailers and whatnot. What would your guys' game of the show be for E3 2016?
Go, my man. I'm thinking.
Why can't I think as well, my man?
I would say if you guys are going to take forever to think, then, like, I would say I'm debating between two. And I think at the end of the day, I think it was We Happy Few, just of how fucked up that story looks. My close second would be Prey, but the visual art style for We Happy Few was really, really cool. A lot of people were like, "Wow, this is really ripping off of BioShock and whatnot," and I actually did not get that vibe during that. The art style, I guess, is definitely similar to BioShock, specifically Infinite, but the sort of environment and whatnot screams to me Clockwork Orange in a way.
See, I thought it completely ripped off of BioShock. Not art style wise, but everything else felt like a copy and paste. That's not saying it's bad. I love fucking BioShock, and this game looks fucking awesome, but I think it was like...
So story-wise, what did they rip off of BioShock?
It wasn't an exact copy and paste. It's just that sense of like you're in this new environment.
You're being controlled by an outside source.
Everybody starts going after you. It's the same like situation, and I know a lot of things like are gonna be the same, but that was like very close to BioShock. It's
Like,
the
if you
same
had
exact
put a-
situation, same exact type of gameplay. It looks like.
If you had put it directed by Ken Levine at the end, no one would have been surprised.
Yeah. I think it was like the art style was maybe more like the first Dishonored, a little bit more artsy and colorful. And yes, it did have a very Clockwork Orange type of vibe to it because of what I'm guessing the time period.
I mean,
is
and that's
stuff.
the thing is, like, I
Very
don't. A lot of
mod-ish.
people are saying like, oh, they ripped off of BioShock because of this whole like, everybody is like under control in the society, and then you're the first one to break out of it or whatever. And it's like, BioShock doesn't own that sort of story, and that story has been told a lot. And I think that We Happy Few is a different one. You know, it like when it comes to the BioShock games, you're always on the outside looking in. You're always someone else who wasn't part of this community, who's going into it, slowly learning about these things that about this city and like what happened here. And in We Happy Few, you are a part of that, and you decide whether or not you want to continue to be a part of that. And it's you sort of finding like what your history is here in this game, and like trying to find out like why this place matters to you. And so, and I know BioShock definitely has that, but I think the way We Happy Few showcased it, I think there's just something different for me at least. I know it's a
No. Yeah, if you like that game and you feel that, by all means.
No, yeah.
It's just that like
no, go fuck yourself.
get out, get out of your own show.
Games are real.
I just really did get that kind of feel from it. Regardless, you do make a good point though. It is from another perspective from this character.
And like BioShock is very from the gameplay that we've seen and whatnot. I don't know if it's going to be as based on shooting or fighting mechanics or any of this stuff. I really don't know if it's going to really be based around that. So I honestly think the gameplay is going to feel way different than BioShock games. And I think it's going to be very story heavy. And BioShock games are that, but the emotional resonance isn't as hard hitting in the first BioShock and in Infinite as I would imagine We Happy Few could be, because there's a lot of like history that you have to find out about yourself that could be really fucked up, and because you've been on this joy pill for so long, like you really like coming to terms with all this shit. So I think it honestly looks like a fascinating story, and yeah, I'm really excited to see more of that game. I'm hoping it's not Xbox One exclusive, and people have been saying that. But the interesting thing, I watched that trailer over again from the E3 conference, and it was, at one point it said first to console on Xbox. So I think right now what they're doing is from their...
It's a BioShock move.
Compulsion kickstarted the game, and it...
BioShock move.
And their first goal was to get it on Xbox, and then their second goal was to get it onto PC. And I think they will definitely bring it to PS4. They're probably working, like, I went onto their website and they said like nothing yet. And I imagine what's going on is they're just trying to get it through certification, because I know that's a fucking lengthy process and a really fucking tedious process. So that's probably what they're going through right now, is just getting going through certification for Sony platforms. So I hope to see that game on PS4, hopefully soon after Xbox One, just because like I don't imagine myself buying an Xbox One anytime soon, and I don't think this game would run well on my PC. So those are my thoughts. Now that you guys have had sort of thoughts on your games of the shows, what do you got?
So if I was going with my personal like reaction to them, on what took it for me, my first place would have been Prey. When I didn't watch the Bethesda conference itself,
but you watched that trailer.
But you showed me that trailer when I got back from work, and it fucking blew me away. I've seen it like 15 times over already, just trying to like get a focus. Especially because it does have a very heavy Dead Space feel for me, and it like kind of brought me back a little bit, and it just looks incredible. I think it's changing the game a lot, in sense of being unique and stuff, and taking good pointers from other games, and with the skill of that fucking trailer, which is fantastically made. And my number 2 would definitely be Skyrim HD, because I love fucking Skyrim, and it looks prettier. Ricky Mohappy. But in another point,
and you can finally get your nude mod on console.
But if I looked at it from like a wider range of like what I think won for the community itself, that got a little bit harder for me. I got a tie for second with Crash Bandicoot and Spider-Man for Sony. And then
like I didn't want to bring up Crash Bandicoot because literally it was only like, hey, it's coming. Like we didn't really get to see it, so like that's why I
Game of the year.
That's why I didn't really talk about it. I would say like for the community as like a whole of like probably like what's the best to come. Just not like sort of our more personal stuff. Like I would say God of War, South Park, Fractured Butthole, and Dishonored 2. I would say like the way they showcase those games and just of how well they showed off those games and just like the different aspects of what each of those games are of like sort of stealth and combat, and then turn-based sort of RPG, and then sort of action adventure, which is different for God of War, but you know, that's sort of what this new one's going towards. I think those, like, out of the action adventure games that were shown, I think God of War took the cake. When it comes to like sort of RPG sort of stuff, I think South Park took the cake, and I think for sort of stealth based and combat based first person stuff, I think Dishonored 2 took the cake.
See, for like the wider range, I think the two that took the cake was God of War and Resident Evil 7.
Did you play the demo yet?
No, I downloaded it. I had to go to Berkeley. I'm gonna do it. I'm probably doing it tonight.
I don't want to do it.
Lights off.
I don't want to do it by myself.
Do this shit right.
Pants down.
Pants down. In my boxers, no shoes, so I have to run outside.
Face down,
Ass
ass up.
Henry, what is what would be your game of the show?
So at first I was thinking about this as like, which game got me most excited to see it? And so I was thinking like, okay, Spider-Man. I'm excited to see Spider-Man. Last Guardian, super excited to finally get the release date for The Last Guardian.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about which game, when it comes out, I'm most excited to play.
Yeah.
Just like go in and play it. And I surprised myself with my choice. The game I'm most excited to play is Fe.
Huh. All right. Cool.
Because you know I like 3D platformers.
Yeah, and it seems very much that, and also like there seemed, I watched that trailer over again, and there seemed to be sort of like a Castlevania element to it of like being able to, all right, you're in one area and these animals sort of sing a different song, and then you gotta like go find out like how to get that song and then go back to them.
Yeah, and I
all
love
that stuff.
Metroidvanias. Arkham Asylum was my favorite of the Batman
Yeah.
games.
So that definitely seems like a game up your alley. And
Like every other game, it's like, I'm excited to play this, but I feel like
it's more of the same.
I'm going to be like, okay, I like the story, but the game gets frustrating for me sometimes. Like, okay, We Happy Feud, this is a really interesting story, and then like the actual gameplay is going to be like going walking down a corridor. It's making me walk really slowly.
Yeah.
But, like Fez, like the game I'm looking at, I'm like, I want to play this.
Yeah.
Okay. I respect
Which
that.
is what I think games should be. Like
I'm excited about the mechanics and the gameplay and whatnot.
Like I should want to play a game, not be like, oh, this is a game that you live. Fuck that. I want to play a game.
Yeah.
Okay, I respect that. Yeah. Like I'm actually not as surprised that that's your game of the show, just because of sort of what games you sort of
My
lean
ethos
towards.
for games.
Yeah, exactly. So I respect that. I respect that.